Well, good evening. My name is Evan Gregory, and this is once again Bible Answers. Our topic for tonight is going to be the Christian's work ethic. And as always, I'll have all of our information, all of the verses on the screen here. And this is brought to you by the North Columbus Church of Christ, located in Columbus, Mississippi. And our website scrolling below me is northcolumbuschristians.com. And we also put these videos on our YouTube page, is North Columbus Church of Christ. And please subscribe. I believe that's what we do. We subscribe to our YouTube page. And if you subscribe, you'll be notified of those videos. And so, again, our topic is going to be the Christian work ethic. And I think, especially in the last several or few years, this idea of work or working for others is becoming more and more of a heated topic, being employed by, major corporations and whatnot. And, a lot of back and forth, a lot of debate about what the quality of work one should be doing and justification for, either working hard or not working, not working at all, or, as I would say, working hard or hardly working. But today we're simply going to look at what the Bible has to say about what the Christian's attitude is supposed to be about work. And so this goes beyond, any government, economics and our current situation, any political situations or whatever it may be. And so if really what the Bible has to say about our attitudes and work and the quality of work, that's what stands regardless of what's going on around us. And so going straight into it, I don't have it on the screen here, but Ephesians 4:28 kind of gives us an idea about what our work should be and what purpose our work should be for. And it speaks of those that perhaps used to steal, let them steal no longer, but yet works that they may have something to give to those that are in need. And so we change from taking, someone who may steal. So this would be obviously some non-believer. And yet that person is supposed to change now that they are working and they're working. And obviously I think we all understand that we are to provide for ourselves and help ourselves, but yet also our work is for the benefit of others as well. And so we would look for those those opportunities to help those that truly are in need. And 2 Thessalonians 3 and verses 10 through 12 kind of goes along with this idea of our work. And Paul here is pretty blunt. He says, "For even when we were with you, we commanded you this: if anyone will not work, neither shall he eat. For we hear there are some who walk among you in a disorderly manner, not working at all, but are busybodies. Now, those who are such, we command and exhort through our Lord Jesus Christ that they work in quietness and eat their own bread." So again, here Paul is pretty clear that person should be working. Obviously, if they have the ability to do that they all should be busy doing something. And if that person is not willing to work, well, then the solution is, well, they shouldn't even eat. If they are going to receive some benefits, they have to put some effort into receiving those things. And we see the problem here that these people that don't work, it says, as Paul puts it, they become busybodies. They stop worrying about themselves and they start worrying about other people, maybe gossiping or whatever else that can lead to. But here again, it's pretty clear what a Christian should be doing. That if they have the ability to work, that they should be working. And they should be working to provide for themselves and for others. But a lot of times in the real world, I think most often we see situations like what we have on the screen here with this picture of perhaps these people that are working on the road. And I don't know about you, but I get it's become stereotypical. And you also see a lot of times when you're out driving down the road and they're doing road work, you tend to see just a lot of people standing around leaning up against the shovel. And it makes you wonder. And usually a lot of times there's one person that's just getting after it, that they're doing all the work, and everybody else is just sitting there watching them. And obviously with what we have just read, that certainly shouldn't be us. If we're anybody in that picture, we should be the one person that is working. In Colossians 3 and verse 23, it says, "Whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men." It's not necessarily talking about a job, but there is a general principle here that it doesn't matter what we are doing. We're doing it heartily. We're doing it to the best of our abilities. And remember that we're not doing this as necessarily being pleasing to men, but we're doing this as to the Lord. As if again, if the Lord was our, I guess if the Lord was our boss or our supervisor, but what would we think, or how would we react to that, and what changes would be making our job if that was the case? Often in the Proverbs, we see a good bit written about those that are working very diligently, those that are slothful or lazy. The word lazy, at least what I count, is around 14 times in Proverbs. For example, in Proverbs 21:25, it says, "The desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor." And so the few verses that we've just looked at that we see that our work, and if we're doing our work diligently, it does lead to benefits for ourselves and for others. But here we see that the desire of the lazy man kills him, that he wants all of these things, and maybe even in need some things. But it says here his hands refuse to labor. He just doesn't want to do it. And so this leads to, really, this person becoming impoverished. And ultimately it's, of their own choice. They are solely responsible for the condition in which they find themselves in. Here, this is an article at NPR, and this was from some time back, and it's talking about these people, that are describing themselves as not being able to work, that they may consider themselves that they disabled. And it says in Hale County, Alabama, near 1 in 4 working age adults is on disability. On the day government checks come in every month, banks stay open late, Main Street fills up with cars, and anyone looking to unload an old TV or an armchair has a yard sale. So in this particular situation at this time, 25% of adults is on disability. And so it says Sonny Ryan, a retired judge in town, didn't hear disability cases in his courtroom, but the subject came up often. He described one exchange he had with a man who was on disability but looked healthy. "Just out of curiosity, what is your disability?" the judge asked from the bench. "I have high blood pressure," the man said. "So do I," the judge said. "What else?" "I have diabetes." "So do I." And so, again, I'm not disparaging legitimate disabilities, but what you do see is often people looking for excuses not to work. Uh, it seems like people will put more effort into not doing a job than the job actually requires. And I think most of you, if you worked your whole life, you've probably seen situations like that of people spending more time, spending more brain power trying to get out of doing something than actually doing it. And this article here speaks to it. But we don't want to be that person. Again, our attitude should be that if we are able, we should be working and not looking for ways to get out of our work. And kind of what we've seen in the other Proverbs chapter, in the other Proverbs verse that we looked at, is that the problems with being lazy, this person desires and they don't have. And so if we are diligent, if we work hard, we can avoid want and covetousness. And before I get into this, I think it should be said that the Proverbs that we will be reading, obviously, uh, people can work hard and still be poor. Okay, these are not guidelines that are 100%. Or that is well. How should I put this? That is, it's not. They're not. If you do work hard, it does not mean that every single, it's a 100% fact that you are going to have a much better life. Okay. But generally speaking, and what we see in the Proverbs, these things are true. For example, we read in Proverbs about how one should raise a child. And if you raise a child, how great that they're going to turn out. And I'm sure you will find people that were good parents, but their child still goes bad, right? And so this is not a one size fits all case. There are some exceptions, but generally these things are the rule. In Proverbs 14 and verse 23, it says, "In all labor there is profit, but idle chatter leads only to poverty." Right? So benefits from your labor, but if you sit around just talking, running your mouth, not doing anything, what is that going to lead to? It's going to lead to poverty. Proverbs 19:15 says, "Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger." Again, leading to poverty, leading to hunger. An idle person is going to go without. And in Proverbs 20:13 says, "Do not love sleep, lest you come to poverty. Open your eyes, and you will be satisfied with bread." The writer is saying basically, get up, get going. Don't sit in a house all day. Go and get the job done. And if you will do that, it says you're going to be satisfied with bread. Again, we have this contrast of hunger, poverty, and we see that those that are lazy suffer that, and those that are diligent, they're going to have bread. They're going to have profit and all that they do. But with all that being said, that someone who works is going to gain from that. We have to be careful about how we view that wealth, or that profit that we receive by being diligent. And we often see, we can look at many cases in the New Testament about how Jesus and the other writers warn rich people, and they warn about the dangers of wealth. All right. And so we should work hard. There's benefits from working hard, but don't get caught up in the wealth of that can be generated from working hard. Proverbs 11 and verse 4 says, "Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death." There are some things that are more important than our wealth, right? Those things are not going to help us at all. Uh, for example, I can't remember the exact scriptures, but Jesus talks about this rich man who had gained so much that he tears down barns to build bigger. And he thinks that he's got it made. God calls him a fool because his soul is going to be required of him, that night. And so he thought he had it made. He spent his whole life gaining more and more. But at the end of the day, those things are worthless because his soul was not right with God. And so at the end of the day, this wealth is not going to protect our soul. It says righteousness rather delivers from death. Proverbs 13 and verse 7, it says, "There is one who makes himself rich, yet has nothing, and one who makes himself poor, yet has great riches." Again, speaking of that, the wealth, riches is not the end all be all, that you can have all these things, yet are lacking the most important thing. And yet you see in the New Testament often that the poor are highly regarded by God, that basically, really with the poor people, there's less things that are holding them back from truly trusting and serving God. They don't have the wealth, they don't have these good things in life that so often tempt people to deny God. And so again, there are benefits towards actually not having this wealth, because it frees the mind, it frees one from being tempted by them. And so this person who is poor yet can have great riches because, again, they're serving God, their soul is right with God. And so I think the conclusion with all of this is that we should work and we should work hard, but yet we be content with what we have. Is that we work, we get ourselves right with God, and if we get more and more wealth from that, I think we can be grateful for that. but don't forget that those things are that they are perishable. They're not going to last forever. In Proverbs 30 and verse 8 through 9, it says, remove falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food allotted to me, lest I be full and deny you, and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and still and profane the name of my God. So the writer here is saying, basically talking about the dangers of both extremes here. If we're, if we're impoverished, we may steal, may profane the name of God because that. But if you're rich, he may be full and also deny God. So they both lead to the same situations there. And so again, the writer here is not saying just don't work or work just a little bit. I think the writer is well aware about great wealth, but again, be careful and that you are better off, spiritually speaking, if you're just, you're kind of in the middle. You're not just completely destitute, but you're also not, fabulously wealthy. Proverbs 23 and verses 4 through 5 says, do not overwork to be rich, because if your understanding cease, will you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle towards heaven. And so, although we ought to work and we ought to work diligently, again, the writer is saying don't overwork to be rich. Don't let the gaining of wealth totally consume you to the point where that's, again, your sole focus. Those things will be done away. The writer puts these riches as an eagle. They fly away like an eagle toward heaven. You're wanting them, and they're just going to go away from you in the end. And in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verses 6 through 8, it says, now godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, with these we shall be content. Paul here, he is, I think, is a great example of someone who works hard, yet he is not a wealthy man. He had to give up basically everything in service for the Lord. And he was able to find contentment, regardless of what he may be dealing with. As long as he had food and clothing, he's going to be content with that. And, again, I think that's found in that proper mindset that if we don't forget God wherever we're at, that God was Paul's focus. He was only worried about doing the will of the Lord, and through that, really nothing that was around him mattered in the end. As long as he just had food, clothing, he was going to be fine with that. And so I hope this has been useful for y'all. Again, I think the bottom line here is that we work diligently. We should not be lazy, but be careful in how we work and make sure we have proper perspective towards our work, that it's not just about gaining hordes and hordes of wealth. And so, as always, if you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave those here. And again, if if you're wanting to look at our previous videos, we have them on our Facebook page. They should show up, but we also are putting them on our YouTube page as well. It's North Columbus Christians. No, it's not. Our website is North Columbus Christians. Our YouTube page is North Columbus Church of Christ. And so you can find us there and find all of our previous videos there. But until next time, I hope that you all have a good day and a good rest of the week. Thanks.